This is the program that shows you the side of police chase videos they didn't want you to see. Bungled arrests, kamikaze crooks and cop-based carnage of all kinds. Welcome to Cops Uncut, the real car crash TV.
On my way.
Coming up on Cops Uncut. This cop gets caught in a cloud of dust. This suspect has a surprise for his friend.
Shut up.
And this trooper gets some help from his other half.
Taking off again.
It's springtime in the Lone Star State, where this cowboy in a coupe is on the run after a domestic. The driver in front is kind enough to move aside when he sees what's going on. But on roads as narrow as this, we can only keep our fingers crossed that he doesn't meet anyone coming the other way. If we weren't watching a hair-raising high-speed chase, this would be a wonderful advert for the Texas Tourist Board. It's a fine sunny morning, the flowers are blooming and the trees are green. And at any given second, this wife-beating redneck could find himself in a head-on collision. It's clearly been a dry year because there's more dust around than at a vacuum cleaner convention. As the cop tries to work out how to adjust his air conditioning, the suspect is still going strong. What with the attractive scenery and the dangerous driving, it all looks a bit like an outtake from the Dukes of Hazzard. So don't be surprised if Boss Hogg is waiting for us around the next corner and Uncle Jesse tries to help this crook across the county line. Unfortunately, though, his cornering skills would be no match for Bo and Luke Duke, and there's a fresh set of skid marks on the road to tell us where he's ended up. Back before the chase had started, he fired several shots at this officer. But finding his gun again isn't going to be easy with a fully inflated airbag in his face. This Lone Star lawbreaker headed for the hills when a family row got out of hand. But after a picturesque pursuit, he ran off the road and straight into the arms of the police. Still to come in part 1. These partners get pushy, and this policeman puts his wife in the passenger seat.
Shut up. Taking off again.
Officer Ingram has pulled over 2 young men in this SUV.
How you guys doing? You on the car, sir?
The only thing they've done wrong so far is to have a faulty taillight, and Ingram asks the driver to step outside so he can take down some details.
Yeah, I noticed it now. I didn't see that white silver on your tag like that, but I guess you can hit it. Where in the world, Piedmont, Alabama?
They chat for a while about where they've come from, but things aren't as relaxed as they seem.
Don't put you in your pocket. Right there, just
Once he's finished, Ingram moves on to the passenger. It turns out they've come all this way just to soup up the speck on their wheel rims.
Good Lord. Dang, you got him chrome. That's a lot of money, isn't it?
And when Ingram finds out how much the new wheels cost, he can hardly believe his ears.
Well, I'm glad y'all riding them. I wouldn't even want to get on a rim cost that much. I mean, you ain't got any guns in there, have you? Yes, sir. No guns, alcohol, drugs, anything like that? Nothing? Might just search it real quick.
He begins to wonder where all of that cash came from and why there was a funny smell wafting out of the window.
Some of you smell like marijuana. I don't know if it's you or him. You had any weed in the car? Yes, sir. Been around anybody lately?
Suddenly, the kid is getting cagey. Has he been smoking? Is there more than just some de-icer and a car jack in the trunk?
You just been around somebody smoking? Well, you know if you would. I don't know. I mean, okay, nothing else, just nothing illegal. You don't mind?
Time to put K9 on the case and see what the passengers got in his pockets.
I got enough problem calling the first vehicle right now because of what I smell. I'm going to go ahead and walk the dog around there. If there's even a roach in there, he's going to hit us. So you might as well go ahead and tell me. Okay. What's that there? Okay.
As expected, there's some wacky-backy in his wallet, which officially lands these two in trouble. And now they've got plenty more time to get nervous as Officer Ingram slowly and methodically searches the car. There can be nothing more frustrating than having to stand back as the policeman picks his way through your possessions. But with only Ingram on the scene, one of them begins to formulate a plan. He uses both of his brain cells to come up with something so flawless, so foolproof, it could only be the work of a criminal mastermind.
Let him go, let him go.
Yes, he just shoves his mate in the back and legs it. Ingram eventually found a kilo of cocaine in the SUV, and the fleet-footed felon was soon tracked down. So even after stinking out the car and leaving his best buddy to face the music, in the end, this coke-dealing crook was just a pushover. This driver in Utah is about to try one of the oldest tricks in the book. First of all, he indicates right and pulls over to the side of the road. Then Officer Crow and his colleague stroll up to have a quiet word in his ear. But just as the interrogation is getting underway, our scheming suspect puts his foot down and disappears into the night. Just like Lucy pulling the football away from Charlie Brown, you know it's going to happen, but it still gets them every time. The only problem is, unless you happen to be at the wheel of a McLaren F1, 5 seconds head start on a fully trained police pursuit driver is nowhere near enough. So the cops catch up with their man about half a mile down the road, and he's right back to square one. The difference now is that instead of one measly squad car on his tail, this guy has got a whole fleet of support vehicles winging their way from the station with the sole intention of spoiling his evening. And the first item on their to-do list is taking his tyres out with some stop sticks. Officer DiCarlo here has the whole thing planned out, and it isn't long before the feckless fugitive has lost his grip on the road. As you can see when we zoom in on the action, there's not a lot of rubber left on his rims. With flashing blue lights on all sides, he's due for his second pit stop of the day. But when the cops catch up with him this time, they're not going to be after a friendly chat. In fact, they're much more likely to treat him to a few of their favorite wrestling moves. So how is he going to take them by surprise second time around? With petrol power out of the question, he decides to make do with putting one foot in front of the other. Cue the Sheriff's Department sprint team, who have been itching for some exercise all week. This stop-start suspect thought he could second-guess the cops. But they weren't in the mood for saying goodbye. So after losing the long-distance race, it was time to try his luck in the 100-yard dash. But instead of making it onto the podium, he won himself a place in the pen. Being a cop is hard enough without having to deal with backseat drivers.
Shut up.
So whenever you're out on patrol, we would advise you not to bring your wife along for the ride. Women tend to panic in high-pressure situations and may well take offense at the aggressive nature of police pursuits.
Y'all got your seatbelt on?
They much prefer verbal negotiation to brute force and won't feel at all safe if you put them through a pit maneuver.
Hold on.
So if they ever complain or try to tell you what to do, make sure you show them who's wearing the badge in the relationship.
Well, be quiet.
Despite the drawbacks, though, having a second witness in the patrol car can come in handy, even if they don't trust you to perform such simple tasks as pressing the record button on your dash cam.
I got the camera on. Just watching throwing it out.
In fact, Eddie and Sue here make quite a crime-busting couple. She keeps an eye out in case the suspect tries to dump any evidence, while he takes care of the police radio and supervises vehicle health and safety.
Make sure you got your seatbelts in. It's gonna be narcotic related.
If giving a lift to your life partner is unavoidable, you may wish to keep them informed of the correct legal terminology for particular cases. Be warned, though, as they may not find police work half as interesting or fun as you do.
Watch it out.
They'll also have a knack for stating the obvious, so don't be afraid to put them in their place.
Well, be quiet, sir. Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Get on the ground!
And when you finally catch up with the wanted man, your glamorous assistant can help by tracking down any important items you've forgotten to attach to your belt.
Because I tell you to get on the ground. Give him handcuffs.
You may even want to take the handcuffs home with you at the end of the shift and try them out in a non-work-related situation.
Stay on the ground before I hurt you.
So time for a quick recap. It's best not to take your better half along when you're trying to do your job. If you do, remember that you could be in for more nagging than you normally get from your chief inspector.
Shut up.
But even when you've had a tiff about how to tackle crime, she'll still be your lawful, wedded wife.
I got the camera on. Just watching throwing it out.
Class dismissed. Down in Tallapoosa, Georgia, every single squad car within a 20-mile radius has been rounded up to deal with 3 suspects in a Ford SUV. There are so many officers converging on the scene that it's either a quiet day or crooks all over the county have suddenly got a free rein to run wild. Rob a bank or stick up a store now and nobody will even notice that it's happened apart from the cashiers. And the only thing they'll get when they call 911 is an answering machine. This convoy alone contains 4 or 5 cruisers and an undercover car, and there's plenty more backup on the way. Everyone is slowed down considerably by a traffic jam, as the cop we're on board with has to make use of the central reservation to keep moving. But this snarl-up hasn't been caused by the school run, and nobody's slowing down to catch a glimpse of a crash scene. This lot are waiting patiently for the police, who've blocked off the carriageway so they can go about their business in private. As we approach, see if you can work out just how many cops and their cars have managed to join in the fun, and how hopelessly outnumbered the wrongdoers really are. As with so many things in life, law enforcement is all about teamwork. And just like in American football, these guys have got a special team for every conceivable occasion. There's the suspect restraint team, the firearms team, the handcuff team, the standing around watching what's going on team, and they're wearing a nice new 10-gallon hat team. Put them all together and, depending on your point of view, you've either got strength in numbers or too many cooks spoiling the broth. But at least no one will ever get lonely on the job.
Taking off again.
Still to come in part 2. This felon falls foul of a stinger, and this suspect gets searched for substances. Drunk test dummies. There are all sorts of ways in which the modern motorist can impair their driving. Beer and wine have to be top of the list. But if you're going to get drunk, there are also plenty of spirits to try, from whiskey to vodka, brandy to rum. Younger drivers may prefer to sip on an alco-pop before they head out to cause traffic chaos, whereas car thieves of no fixed abode should be happy with that old standby, a bottle of meths. Since the 60s, mind-expanding drugs have also been doing their bit to endanger the lives of innocent drivers. The discerning druggie has plenty of choice, from a simple joint all the way up to crack cocaine and heroin, which can make a trip to Tesco's more dangerous than Russian roulette. Today's drunk test dummy has been consuming a lethal combination of alcohol and Class A's, which must have made him overconfident because he doesn't think the cops will be able to catch him as he stumbles away from his vehicle. Unsurprisingly, he doesn't get very far. So now it's time for the ultimate examination of his abilities, the field sobriety test. And the Pinehurst Police Department has been having a brainstorming session to see which exercises will make their suspect look the most ridiculous on camera. Whatever's going on here would look more appropriate on an airport runway. Next, our inebriated examinee is walking the tarmac tightrope, a test he manages to fail with flying colours. At this point, though, the cops appear to run out of ideas and make him do the first exercise all over again, which from this angle looks suspiciously like an amateur impression of Adolf Hitler. By now, they've seen quite enough to keep them laughing when the video gets shown in the staff canteen. So all that's left to do is arrest him for being stoned and drunk and disorderly. What you're about to see is a promotional film on behalf of the manufacturers of that most useful of crime-fighting tools, the humble spike strip. After all, there's nothing wrong with a bit of product placement, so long as the product you're placing has contributed something to the greater good of society. For our demonstration, we'll be watching a typically incompetent car thief from Florida. Tonight, this kid had a dilemma. Should he stay at home with his mum and watch Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, or head out for a spot of joyriding and risk a fine, the loss of his license, and a spell in prison? Not being a fan of quiz shows, he chose the second option. So now it's 2 in the morning and he's herring around the streets of Palm Beach with 2 cops on his tail. As you can see here, his tyres are already deflating fast. But even though the moment wasn't captured on video, we can assure potential buyers that the spike strip is easy to deploy and presents no risk to the user. Each unit also comes with an attractive carry case and detailed assembly instructions, as well as a 5-year money-back guarantee. If your subject continues driving for any more than a few minutes after impact, his wheel rims will be liable to damage the road surface. Here they've carved a groove that's big enough to park your bike in. Witnesses will also be treated to a spectacular light show as the alloys generate sufficient electricity to power a medium-sized town. What with the deafening scraping noise and shower of white-hot sparks, other road users will steer well clear of the pursuit. As somebody once said, we're convinced that the spike strip is a major contribution to road safety. Poor old Corporal Savage here must get a lot of people making fun of his name. One look at that badge will have half of them doubling up with laughter and the other half running as fast as they can in the opposite direction. But he's really just a big old teddy bear who doesn't even know the meaning of the phrase police brutality. This gentle giant would rather sit down for a chat than smack you over the head with a nightstick or scream at you to put your hands in the air. On the interstate in Florida, Savage and his partner have just pulled over an erratic driver who was changing lanes so frequently they thought he was having an epileptic fit. Much more likely, though, is the possibility that alcohol or drugs are involved. And before he gets going on the paperwork, Savage begins to search his suspects. First up is the passenger, who's appropriately dressed for the humid conditions. But baggy basketball shorts tend to have more pockets than a pool table, so the process takes a while. With his colleague holding a torch, Savage gets as intimately acquainted with the suspect as he can without actually pulling his pants down. In amongst the bubblegum wrappers and loose change, he must have found something suspicious. There are no raised voices, nobody gets manhandled, and no guns are drawn. Their man is just quietly led away to a slightly less comfortable seat than he had before, behind a perspex screen in the back of the cruiser. As Savage compliments the suspect on a rather fetching baseball top, his partner moves round to the opposite side of the car, where the driver has been sweating like a pregnant nun. In the words of the famous song, he's a dreadlock rasta in the heart of America. And now he's got a policeman patting him down, this Buffalo soldier is definitely going to be fighting for survival. Florida is much more renowned for its theme parks and alligators than followers of Haile Selassie. So all you need to qualify as a Rastafarian here is a poster of Bob Marley on your bedroom wall. But this guy also likes his funny cigarettes, and if there are any concealed about his person, these two cops are bound to sniff them out. Savage has had enough frisking for one evening, so he's decided to delegate, and his colleague is just as meticulous when it comes to rifling through someone's pockets. It's impossible to see from this distance, but it wouldn't take a genius to guess what sort of objects he's pulling out and placing on the car roof. The smart money is on loose-leaf tobacco, a cigarette lighter, some small pieces of cardboard, and a packet of king-size Rizzlers. As all this is going on, the driver's buddy is stuck in the back of the cruiser, and he's not a happy bunny. He doesn't think this is a fair cop at all. In fact, he's worried that the whole thing could be a racially motivated conspiracy. What he's completely failed to notice is that Corporal Savage himself is black, so he's hardly likely to spend his spare time wearing a pointy white hat and burning crosses in the woods. And there must have been something incriminating stashed away in the driver's shorts, because a second pair of handcuffs has already been secured. These two ganja-loving gangsters thought it was safe to get high on the highway. But when the cops saw smoke coming from their car, it clearly wasn't the radiator overheating. So now they'll have plenty of time to grow their hair even longer while they're sitting in jail serving out a sentence. So what have we learnt today on Cops Uncut? Country roads can be dustier than a student's sideboard. You can get by with a little help from a lot of your friends. And why not invest in a spike strip, the tool that takes your tires out? Be careful out there.